Hi everyone, this is Christine, counselor and instructor of the Counseling 120 class, Student Success. If you are at this video, then that means you are taking my class and you are in the learning section of our module. Or you stumbled upon this on YouTube and want to learn more about the learning process. So this video is going to be about the learning process. It's my take on the learning process and how I think the learning process works through the research I've seen, through the readings I've done, and through my own experience as a student and with the students that I work with. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first thing I like to start with is a quick overview of how the brain works. So I'm really talking about how memories are created in the brain. Your brain has a lot of different neurons, and when something happens, the neurons will fire at each other. And what happens when the neurons fire at each other, they create these neural pathways. The more this happens, so the more that you study something, the neural pathways will get thicker. If the pathway is thicker, that means it is easier for you to retrieve the information. So this is why in study skills, they always talk about repetition. Make sure you look over your notes. Make sure that you review after the lecture because they are trying to strengthen those neural pathways. So that's just a quick overview of how the brain works. Now, how does this relate to learning? The reason this relates to learning is because learning is a process. It takes work. We can't just be in class, we can't just sit there and be laid back and think that all of that information is going to soak up into our brains. No, that's not how it works. In the learning process, you really have to be intentional about your learning. You need to practice the process of learning. You need to make sure that you are being an active learner. So this is why I think there's a lot of myths about learning where people just think, I'm not a good learner, I can't do this. It's because it is something that you have to take action with, that you have to intentionally do. Think about driving a car. We didn't know how to drive a car. For those of us who do drive, we didn't know how to drive a car. We really had to practice at it, and it took some time. That's just like learning. If you are a musician learning an instrument, it's the same exact thing. So let's make this more relatable, right? So one of the greats in basketball, Kobe didn't just sit back and go through the motions of learning basketball. Yes, he is talented, but he practiced hard. He did drills, he would practice for hours, he would make sure he was in great physical shape. He would study videos, he would make sure his health was right, and that is how he became one of the greatest basketball players. The great musicians, musical artists, rappers that we know of today who are for sure talented, they work on that. They practice, they learn, they work with vocal coaches. They are constantly looking at ways that they can improve their craft so that they can get better. So again, that's an active process. The tech moguls that we know of, Facebook, Amazon, all those people, all these creatives, they spend long hours working, learning, and building to create the empires they have. Facebook, it wasn't just let me put in this code and all of a sudden Facebook is here. It's something that had to be improved. And again, that's just like learning. We have to be intentional about doing that. And to just put it really simply, I really had to study hard in school. I had to go to class. I had to take notes. I had to do the reading. I had to look at what learning style worked for me and didn't work for me. I had to do study groups. So learning takes time. Learning is something that we have to do. So if you're having struggles with learning, it's not the end. It doesn't mean that you can't learn. It just means let's look at how you're learning and find a better way to do so. All right, how can we take an active approach towards learning? So the first thing is do the work. Do your readings, assignments, any activities that are needed outside of class so that you are prepared. You want to be able to go to class and know what the professor is talking about and be able to participate. In college, the professor is going to expect that you have done your part. So when you go to class, it is studying how you're going to apply the material. It's going more in depth with the material. So if you don't do the work, you will be totally lost. Number 2 is to get involved. Make sure that you are asking questions, participate in discussions. That's supposed to say form study groups, but make sure, have study groups if you like doing that. Being involved helps you really learn the material. Number 3 is to look for connections. So how does the information connect to another class or something that has happened in your life? I find that when you make connections with the material, it's a lot easier to understand it and to remember it. Next, seek applications for your new knowledge. When you're doing that, you're thinking, how can I use this outside of class? Can I use this in my personal life, in my job, in my future career? As a psychology major, I took a lot of classes with my best friend, and we really enjoyed learning about things and then just going out and people watching and seeing how that applied to people. For example, I don't even know if this is still true, but in our psychology class, in our social class, we learned a lot about how in attraction, they say partners tend to be kind of like the same level of attraction. So her and I would sit and just look at partners and, kind of see, okay, like, does this work? Is this something that we're really seeing out in the world? And then lastly, get help. And what I mean by that is go to office hours, email the professor. No, you're not being a burden. If you're doing that, that's why we're here. We want you to come to office hours. We want you to ask questions if you need anything cleared up. Tutoring is so important. I could not have gotten through my calculus or chemistry classes in college unless I got tutoring. As you know, DVC has a lot of different tutoring services. And if you need help, let me know. I can help connect you to some tutoring services. And then lastly, study buddies, study groups, those are always great too. All right, next we are going to be talking about metacognition, and what that means is thinking about your thinking. And I put here, what? That's weird. What? Why am I thinking about my thinking? What does that mean? Very generally, metacognition means thinking about how you learn. How am I learning? It also means thinking about your thought process. So metacognition is kind of like your compass. Instead of aimlessly studying, it is giving you direction and a plan so that your studying is better, so that your learning is better. So these are some examples of things that you would ask yourself if you are taking part in metacognition. Am I evaluating my learning process to see what really works in this situation? As we've learned with learning preferences, some types of learning or using a certain way to learn material may not work the same way in every class. If I'm in a lab, I have to kind of change my way of learning so that I can learn the material in the lab better. So that's what this question is referring to. How do I study best? Do I need to listen to lecture? Do I need to take notes? Do I need to be active in what I'm doing? What is my self-talk? Is it helping or hurting me? And why do I think this way? Very common one is some people grow up thinking that they're bad at math. And what am I saying to myself about this? What am I saying about math to myself? Am I saying I'm not good? How is that impacting me? And why do I think this way? Did I get that idea from a past teacher? Do I get that from society because I'm a woman? They're telling me I'm bad at math. Asking those questions is really going to bring clarity and help you work through that. Is my study style working, or do I need to make a change? So if you are in a class and it's really hard for you to study or retain information, or you're not doing well, then maybe that means you need to change how you're studying. What is blocking me from having motivation to do this? Is there stuff going on in your life that's blocking that motivation? Or maybe it's telling you need to take a different direction with your major. Maybe you don't particularly like the classes in this major. It could be a lot of different things, but getting clear on what's blocking you can really help. Do I want to improve? Do I want to grow? If that is not in you, then you likely may not have the motivation to do well in the class. And then another question would be, am I taking responsibility for my learning and really putting in my best effort? If not, what is preventing me from doing so? And if I am putting my best effort, but it's still really hard, then what's something that I can do to make this better? All right, so I've included some other questions just so that you all get the hang of it, of questions to improve your metacognition. So this one in particular goes over things you could ask yourself before doing an assignment or task, during the assignment or task, and after. I've also included this. This one's really good for when you are studying for an exam because it helps with the planning of how you're going to study, and then while you're studying, monitoring, is this working? It's okay to change the study style. You don't have to stick to one thing. So the monitoring during your study process is really important. And then evaluating. So after you get that exam, after you get that assignment, evaluating if the whole process you did worked for you. What worked for you, what didn't. And if it didn't, how are you going to change? All right, so this is an example of metacognition. You wanted to get an A on your exam, but you got a C. Some questions to ask yourself. What did I do wrong? What could I have done better? How can I better prepare for the next exam? What did I miss and why did I miss it? Did I procrastinate? Why? What are my distractions? Are my study habits or style bad? Do I care about this subject? Am I lacking motivation? Where is my mind and energy, and will I choose to change? I think it really just boils down to that last question. Am I going to choose to change, or am I just still going to do the same thing? Change is hard, and it's up to you to decide if you want to make the change to be better. All right, this is my favorite part about learning, is really to empower ourselves. This is your education and this is your learning. This is your journey. This is you. So I always like to say, be your best self. Take responsibility for your education and hold yourself accountable. Make sure you're going to your counselor, knowing what you have to do to reach your goal. Make sure you're doing your work. Make sure you're showing up prepared. Take action and put yourself in control of staying motivated and doing what you need to do to learn and continue to move forward. Yes, again, this is all your choice to continue to stay motivated. That's why we talked about motivation early in this class. And then just do what you need to do to move forward. Show that you value your education and your success. So do you value this? Do you value the learning and the growth? Show that you do. Show respect for your college and learning community. Have pride in where you're at, and let's be respectful of each other and know that everyone's here. Everyone has a story. Everyone is trying to reach their own goals. So let's help each other. You make the choice on if you want to grow and develop. Again, it's all about your choice. Do you want to grow? Do you want to develop? Do you want to get better? And then lastly, big reality check. I'm very transparent. I like to keep things real. The world is going to throw stuff our way. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world today that makes it hard. That makes, sometimes waking up and seeing what's going on in the outside world very hard. We may have obstacles in our family. We may have setbacks. There's racism, sexism, ageism, etc., etc., etc. going on. But I just want to say, with all of that, stay motivated, keep on going. That's why, be really clear on your why you're here, what that goal is, and don't let these obstacles and setbacks stop you. It may impact you for a little bit, and it may give you a little break towards going towards that goal, and that's totally fine. Sometimes you have to take care of yourself first, but don't give up. Don't let it make you give up, and really just keep on going. Don't let it stop you. And really, you got this. You have so much support here at DVC. I support you. And you can really make whatever your goal is happen as long as you want to do it. All right. I hope that this was very helpful in understanding the learning process better, and good luck.